Welcome to a very special edition of DPAA Short Connects. Today, I'll be interviewing Sir Martin Sorrell. As many of you know, Sir Martin is executive chairman of S4, and he's building a purely digital advertising and marketing services business. He's building it for global, multinational, regional, and local clients, and he's also targeting millennial-driven influencer brands. It's a purely digital play. Sir Martin, as many of you know, unless you've been under a rock for the past couple of decades, started with a shell company, WPP, at about £1 million. That was in 1985. Then he built from that the largest marketing and ad company in the world. By the time he left WPP, there was a market cap of £16 billion, 200,000 staff, and located in 113 countries. So Martin, now with his digital-only strategy, has been aggressively acquiring content companies, as well as programmatic organizations and data companies. And in less than 2 years already, he's got 30 countries worth of business listed on the London Stock Exchange and a market cap of 1.2 billion. So Martin, we did a seaside chat last year at this time in Cannes Lions. This year we're on video and a video chat, but let's start and tell us the latest on S4, what's going on with its growth, and a little bit about your vision for the company. Tell us. Thank you.
Firstly, focused on digital. Secondly, our model, first-party data model, driving the creation of digital advertising content and pumping that out programmatically using data and analytics. So it's an iterative model. It's like a political model, if you like. We're not producing expensive, slow to produce TV commercials that take 2 or 3 months to produce and start to air, because by that time, as we were discussing before we came on air, the problem's changed. And the dynamics of, it's not just COVID, the dynamics of our industry have changed. And that brings me to the third founding principle of S4, which is faster, better, cheaper. Faster means agility. Every CEO I come in contact with says he wishes his organization or her organization was faster and more agile. And the rest is history, because we know that a lot of companies, particularly analog companies, just don't move as quickly as their digital counterparts or to where they want to get to in terms of digital penetration. So faster is that. Better really means understanding, and it's worth running through the companies that I'm talking about. Better means understanding the whys and wherefores of the following companies, the 6 platforms that I think are important: Google, Facebook, Amazon, Tencent, Alibaba, and TikTok. Apple and Microsoft, Adobe, Oracle, Salesforce, IBM, SAP, ByteDance, the parent of TikTok, where Kevin Mayer has just gone to both ByteDance and to TikTok, Baidu, Twitter, Snap, Pinterest, Spotify, Netflix, and I'd probably throw in Samsung as well. So about 20 companies that really we should understand inside out and be able to advise our clients on. And cheaper, in the faster, better, cheaper, or speed, quality, value, is efficiency, because it is still the case, and more so post-COVID, that GDP growth is pretty moderate. After 2008, it was less actually in nominal terms than it was before, because of less inflation. There will be little inflation. I know that people are worried that the fiscal stimulus post-COVID is going to drive inflation. I don't think it will. We'll see, but I don't think it will in the short to near term anyway. And so growth is tepid, very little inflation, very little pricing power. Our clients are focused on cost. And the fourth principle is a unitary structure. Gone are the days, I think, the ad holding company models are, in my view, past their sell-by date. McKinsey says that most companies, the S&P 500 or the FTSE 100, last for about 17 years on average. And I think the holding companies are past their sell-by dates. They really actually would be probably better off split asunder, because the market share model which they were built around is no longer as relevant as having one fused company that works together in a seamless way. So that's the background to us. We have brand trial. We only started 18, 21 months ago. We have brand trial. We have we certainly had brand awareness and then brand trial. Now we're starting to get conversion scale. Google is our biggest client, a well-known telecoms company. I'm not allowed by an NDA to propagate their name, but you can guess who they might be. I think they're quite prominent this week for reasons. They have a major conference going on at the moment. And then Facebook and companies like Uber, ServiceNow, SoFi, Netflix, Spotify. And then on the other side of our business, our packaged goods clients, Procter, Nestle, Mondelez, Coca-Cola. In healthcare, Novartis, Sanofi, Bayer, Merck. And then in retail, Walgreen Boots, Ace Hardware, and Best Buy. So it gives you an idea of our reach and scale. As I say, we're in 30 countries, 2,550 people. Tech is 53% of our revenues. So actually, interestingly, from a stock market point of view, if you track our stock, and we've been listed since September the 17th, 2018, it follows, particularly in the last 9 months to 12 months, not the ad holding companies. In fact, on average, their market cap is down about a third or 50%. The two big American ones, Omnicom and IPG, are down about a third. The European ones, Publicis, WPP, and the Japanese one, Dentsu, are down about 50%, a little bit less, 45, 50%. And of course, we've gone from zero, and in the comparative period, we're up about 125%. So you've seen a big divergence, and we track more Google. I mean, I'm comparing apples and oranges, or peanuts and a gorilla, if you like, or Goliath and David, but we track Amazon and Facebook and Accenture rather than the ad holding company. So we've managed to convince the market, I think, that the analog to us are the tech companies, not the ad holding companies. That's important to understand because we are going about things in a very different way. So that, Barry, is really a summary of what we've been doing over the last 21 months. We had two pillars, one in July of 2018 around Media Monks and content, in December of 18, Mighty Hive around programmatic and data, and in 2019 and the beginning of 2020, we added 6 companies to Media Monks on the content side and 4 to Mighty Hive on the programmatic and data analytics. The last one, in the midst of COVID, was a company called Digodat, based in Argentina, which has changed its name already to Mighty Hive Argentina. And this week we'll be adding a similar data and analytics company in Asia Pacific, either the end of this week or the beginning of next week.
There's a book being released tomorrow. It's been kind of sneaked out and on Amazon already. John Bolton talks about how Putin is really smart and playing Trump like a fiddle. Martin, I know you've spent some time. In fact, when I was in your office, you were showing me pictures of the inner sanctum of the Kremlin, where you just got back. Large lobster and shrimp that was trafe and not edible.
But it was trafe, and I couldn't eat it.
Right, exactly. As Peter Livesey would know, I see he's here on the call, and Harry Woldenberg down in Mexico City. What do you think about, is Putin been playing Trump? What's your estimate? You've seen those steely eyes close up.
Well, I don't know whether he's playing Trump or not. I can't profess to have any detailed inside knowledge. I would only say that Putin has been around for so long and has had so much experience. I mean, the amusing thing about the session that we had with him, which is the one you're referring to, when I came back, I went with a delegation organized by the CEO of BP. I mean, Putin, there was a group of us, mainly from commodity businesses, Glencore, Ivan Glassenberg, Bob Dudley ran BP, several natural resource companies, commodity companies, and I was the only sort of media person there. And we had the first 10 minutes on national Russian television, which was, a PR opportunity for Putin. But what he said to us, and we had about an hour and a half with him, what he said to us, it was only about 8 of us, what he said was, I have a good relationship with the French and the Germans and the Italians, but I don't have a good relationship with the British, and he wanted to have a better relationship. This is after the Salisbury poisoning, so this is, which there has been a very, very good documentary series. It's not it is documentary basically on BBC. It was a 3-episode series on it just recently, the last week or so, and it was a terrible, terrible situation, the Litvinenko poisonings, and after the Litvinenko poisonings. Anyway, so he said he wanted a better relationship, and then he looked at everybody, and this Putin, and he said, he looks around the table and he said, all of you do such important things. You're in the energy business, you're in the commodity business. I don't think he mentioned the media business, but anyway, he said, me, I'm just a very ordinary person. I'm just, a former spy. So he said this in front of everybody, not on TV, but in front of him. So he's a very, very shrewd, clever ex-spy by his own admission, and not to be underestimated. So, look, let's assume that Trump's abilities and Putin's abilities are the same, right? Same brain power and whatever. Putin's experience as a world leader spans many, many years, and he is extremely shrewd. So in a mental fight, he would have an advantage, I think.
You've got a lot of brands now, categories. You've got health categories, packaged goods, the tech, which we like to see, which is also pretty significant in the digital out-of-home space and the out-of-home space altogether. What are your brands saying post-COVID now or mid-COVID in terms of their messaging, their going forward? What are you seeing their spending? What are you seeing them saying?
As I said, but what we saw was a stasis really in the last 2 weeks of March. It was almost things completely stopped. And whether they were tech companies, let's call them 2 buckets, tech companies, and then CPG and retail and healthcare and whatever. And that's roughly half our business and the other half. And we saw the tech companies cut their budgets and move money, well, not even cut their budgets, because a lot of them had committed very heavily to sporting events, NBA, baseball, obviously Euro 2020, the football, which was postponed, Tokyo 2020, which has been postponed as well, Premier League here. They took that money and put them into purpose campaigns. Often purpose campaigns that if you took the logos or names off, you couldn't tell the difference between them.
What was which, right?
Came in, it was a bit like virtue signaling, but money on the tech side certainly moved into purpose campaigns and then was postponed into H2. I think we've seen money move from Q2 into Q3 and into Q4. So that was on the tech side. Not as affected as in packaged goods. Packaged goods was varied. Procter has sold its food business many years ago under A.G. Lafley. Unilever had, their food service business and their ice cream business, and that was hit very badly by COVID because they could get no distribution. So it varied. Colgate did pretty well, particularly online. L'Oreal did okay, particularly online. Nestle did okay, particularly online. But basically, packaged goods was patchy. Procter, I think, is on a roll. I think, as I say, Market Pritchard is installing a new model into Procter, not dissimilar to our own model of first-party data and content, in-house content and programmatic. Healthcare was pretty good. I mean, you look at the results of Novartis, you look at Sanofi, you look at Bayer, you look at Merck. I mean, all pretty resilient. J&J, pretty resilient, maintaining dividends, which is unusual in this time, as pretty strong. And then retail, online, on fire. And, Walmart, Target, Home Depot have all modified their models to the rise of Amazon and Tencent and Alibaba. So what we saw was that stasis in the back end of March, starting people to look at what they were doing in April, moving money to purpose. But then as a CMO of a major global company, an ex-CMO said to me, one of the largest, in situations like that, the CMO loses power, the CEO listens to the CFO, the budgets get cut, and they move money, and this is the really important point, in both cases, both the tech bucket and the other bucket around CPG, they move money online. And the reason they do is it's highly effective. In the lockdowns, the cost per thousand went through the floorboards, and the performance metrics, which are more easily measurable, were improved. So that's why, taking Michael Nathanson's statistics again, that's why digital, I think this year will be flat. Traditional, as I say, will be down 10, 15%, maybe more in some segments. And that's why Rupert Murdoch is closing or has closed 100 titles or whatever it is in Australia. Or to give you the most bizarre example, the Jewish Chronicle here in the UK has folded. It's because the paper versions stop, and cutting down trees and distributing newsprint is not a financially or environmentally good thing to do. And extreme climate change, i.e. COVID-19 in the sense of digital climate change, accelerates the process. So 3 things are happening. Consumers are becoming more aware of digital acceleration and digital change. They're educating their kids online. They're banking online. They're taking their healthcare online. They're doing all their services online. And they're communicating online as we are here. That's one thing. Media owners are seeing digital acceleration, whether it be newspapers and magazines, free-to-air companies under pressure from the streamers, Netflix, particularly with lockdowns doing well, doing super well. Disney launches Disney Plus, 50 million plus subscribers, probably one of the most successful new product launches that we've seen. So all these things are driving digital from a media point of view. And then lastly, from an enterprise point of view, anybody running a company who has been worried about digital transformation or disrupting the status quo, it doesn't matter anymore. The status quo is disrupted. Most companies in a world that was growing at 2 or 3 or 4% would get top line growth of that level. You'd be a bit more efficient. You might get EPS growth of 5 to 10%. And you bought back stock and drove it up maybe closer to double digits or high single digits. It was a average life of a CEO is 5 years. Perfectly legitimate thing to do. My legacy is okay. I left the business in good shape. No, it doesn't matter.
Right, so that's not leadership.
You wait till you see the Q2 results. All bets are off now. So you might as well get on with it.
In terms of your own business and personal travel, it's always interesting to hear your insights. You would jump into a city for a day and then fly out to another region. What do you plan going forward for the foreseeable future?
Well, let me tell you one story that I thought was really interesting. So 100 CEOs on a call, and there's the head of a hotel company, I won't say which one, the head of an airline, won't say which one, and the head of a fast food set of chains, multiple brands. The guy from the hotel company says, we're going to go back to normal. Everybody will book hotels again. Guy running the airline said, we'll go back to normal. Everybody will travel again, both business and tourist. The guy who ran the fast food said, I just cut my travel budget to 0, and it's not going to go back more than 50% of what it was. So stand by for changes. And I'm not going to travel as much. If I do travel, which I will do, I will travel some. I will go to Australia, which I've got a planned visit, which actually interesting today, it's in September. I had 2 events. They've both been cancelled. They will be virtual probably, but they've both been cancelled. So what will I do in the future? I will travel less frequently. I won't do the Michiganer, if I can put it that way, 1 or 2 day trips where I come back exhausted and I'm of little use in normal times, but of less use as a result. And I think I will, look, what COVID taught me was that time is your most valuable commodity. So using it to, I think the most difficult thing that you have to do if you're any task or set of tasks is apportioning the time in the most productive way. And when I think of the amount of time that I spent, Cannes this week, and it's all virtual. There are 5 days. Listen, you want to go and listen to a CMO? You can go and listen to a CMO without going to the south of France, however nice it might be, in the end of June when it's baking hot. And to be honest, you get ripped off. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
I'd far rather take that money and invest it in better people. I said this in relation to office property. We spend $250 million a year, dollars a year. So $250 million we invest in people. We invest about 35, 40 million in property. I said, I'd rather invest that in people.
Any final thoughts for the group?
No, just enjoyed it and hope to see you next year, if not before. Barry, thank you for the opportunity. I hope everybody stays well and stays safe, and your families and your friends, and they stay well and safe. And as I say, remember, the glass is half full.
That's great. And we may have you back for the summit in October. And if not, as they say in Passover next year in the land of Cannes. And to your sons and your daughter, please stay well, and really thank you for this.
Thank you, Barry. God bless all of you. Thank you. Ciao.